Yes, thank you, Ken. Well, it's a very big field here today, Alan. We have 45 karts on the grid, so spectacular racing. Now, look out for kart number 1, Les May. Last year in this race, he had to start from 24th position, and in just under a lap, he virtually was leading this event. Also, Barbara Hepworth is another kart that you should be looking for. Her number is 27, the lady who ran into the wall last year in such spectacular fashion. And we'll talk more about Barbara Hepworth as we go through the race, because she's had people helping her for the last 2 days just to make the grid here. But a spectacular sight as we look at these little machines. They're very sophisticated, very fast, very agile, and as I said, 45 to go around this circuit for 5 laps.
Yes, Daryl, it's quite a disparity in speed too. We have something like nearly 20 seconds difference between the pole sitter and the man that's at the back of the grid. So I wouldn't be at all surprised to see the front couple of guys getting very close to lapping the back blokes, even within 5 laps.
So you can see there, already the crews have just, all the final preparations have been completed. We had some a talk with some of the people this morning, AJ, and there were some interesting stats to come out of these. When you look at these, and Jackie Stewart mentioned it, the fact that pound for pound, they are the fastest machines on 4 wheels.
Well, they are. There's Alboreto giving somebody a bit of a tip there, I suppose.
Wearing Alboreto's colours in the helmet, you notice that?
Yeah, I bet you he's an Italian. Yeah, the weight of these things around about sort of vary from 190 to 200 kilos. They push out about 100 horsepower. They, as I said in the intro, 250 kilometres an hour, but they're revving them at about 13,600 revs. I mean, it's really buzzing them along. Tyres are open, but the 2 most commonly used tyres, of course, are Bridgestone and Dunlop. And we have a Dunlop shod car on the front row and a Bridgestone shod car on the front row. The Dunlops apparently get the heat into them a little bit quicker in the first couple of laps, and then the Bridgestones come on after that. So that could be interesting to watch.
Well, actually, there's only 2 runners on Dunlop, and they're both sitting 1 and 2. That's Les May and Gerard Siebert. The rest all running on Bridgestones.
Unless there was a switch in the practice, I thought there was a Bridgestone and a Dunlop on the front red, but I do stand corrected.
Car 35 calling for some help there.
Les May, of course, doesn't have any problems getting hold of the Dunlops. He is the Australian distributor for them.
So as you can see, a busy grid here, and we're just a minute or so away now from the warm-up. You can see the marshals now signalling everybody to go up. Look at this, the karts are right around the corner here, coming onto the main straight. As I said, 45 competitors, but you can, in this class of racing, come from midway through the pack if you make a clean start and get a run through the traffic. So just don't think the front row is going to run away with this.
You'll see that some of the go-karts, particularly the smaller capacity ones, some have chosen not to run a rear wing. Now, what they're doing is they're going for a wider tyre on the rear to give them a bit of traction out of the corners, and they've taken the wing off the back to give them that extra straight line speed. So some are going for straight line speed, some are going for downforce. The larger capacity ones, of course, have all got rear wings.
Jim Myhill there, you can see coming off the line as they go on the warm-up lap. Now, Alan, you're very much involved with karting at the moment. Your son Christian's doing very, very well. And of course, you're now looking to put Australian racing talent into karting and then into Formula Ford, and hopefully on the international scene. It's been a wonderful project and it's been getting a lot of publicity. I know that you've been putting a lot of time and effort into it, but the karts that you're involved with aren't the same as these.
No, the cars that we're involved with are sprint karts, and they're very, very different to these. They're obviously a lot smaller, they're a lot shorter in the chassis, they don't have any bodywork, no aerodynamic devices, no gearbox, and they're 100cc. They are totally different karts altogether.
Oh, kart 5 is out already, and that's Peter Woodgate. That's a shame because that's our camera cart as well. So we have lost our camera cart at this stage on the warm-up lap. We'll have a look at the grid for you and bring you up to date with how they're going to start. Now, Les May is on pole. He's very, very fast, very experienced, and he will be hard to beat in this. And then we've got Siebert behind him, Woodgate, Barabaz, Repech, and Myhill. That's the front row for you, or the front part of the grid. Then Stebbing, Lord Brown, McHugh, Robinson, and Maros for our grid positions here. As you can see now, warming up the little tyres. And Alan, interesting too that they're not all running on restricted rubber. There are different variations in the tyre sizes and wheel sizes on a lot of these cars.
Yeah, well, Les May, for instance, has gone for a narrower rear tyre, which is obviously going to give him, A, better straight line speed, but also if it's a smaller tyre on the rear, it's going to be working itself that little bit more, and therefore it'll generate a little bit more heat. It's only a 5-lap race, so they don't have to worry about tyres going off like the big, heavier Group A cars. You can see them now, they're swerving. Oh, here's another retirement. This is not a good... I hope that camera cart's not an omen for the cars that are going to carry cameras so far today.
That's Ben Monroe, cart number 70. He's out at the moment too, which is a shame. So been sitting around. It's pretty hot here in Adelaide, so they're going to be running plenty of temperature through the track at the moment.
Oh, they certainly are. I mean, being a tight, twisty circuit, it really does really use the gearbox and all the componentry, that's for sure. But you can see them weaving around, and that's much the same as what the F1 boys do, or most of us do. It's to generate heat across the tyre. So when they do come to the start line and the green light comes on, they have already got a little bit of heat built up in those tyres for extra traction.
And just think, down that big long straight at the back of the circuit, pulling something like 250 kilometres an hour, that close to the ground, it must be an amazing sensation.
Well, it is, because it accentuates the speed feeling enormously. But of course, the big worry with these things, of course, is that with all these concrete fences around, there aren't any roll bars, there aren't any safety belts. So, you know, if they hit something, they get catapulted out of the things.
So, grinning up now, Barbara Hepworth is in cart 27, and she's back 14th on the grid now. Barbara Hepworth was the lady that was sitting on pole last year in the rain, hit the wall, burst into flames. Her husband David has virtually been up for the last 2 days, rebuilding it and getting her on the grid. And we'll give you some more information, because Les Hansen from Volvo Australia really came from Western Australia, helped her out and gave her enough money to get here. So let's hope she has a good result. Green light going, racing now, 3.778 kilometres around race distance, 18.890, and straight away Les May hits the lead.
Yeah, fantastic start by Les. He really got the power down well. Of course, the other thing with these, the power to weight ratio is fantastic. So it really does require an enormous amount of throttle sensitivity, because if you come out of some of these slow corners and just simply whack on the old accelerator, they'll just sit there wheel spinning because of that power to weight situation. So it really does teach you a very good feeling of being able to just drive the car on the accelerator.
Les May out in front at the moment. You can see the brightly coloured cart there. Right behind him is Gerard Siebert. And this is how they virtually finished last year too. So these two already have got a little bit of distance on the rest of the field, as you see them coming round and over the top too, over the ripple strip. That's not a good move in one of these.
Oh, it would be like going over a ramp in one of these things, I would imagine. But you can see that both May and Siebert, they're I can say the Williams and the McLaren of the superkart world.
No doubt about that. Les May, a great competitor, and Gerard Siebert would really like to take him out on this. And look at that shot now as we look back at the straight, and all of the colour and all of the speed as they try and get into a high-speed snake and get some advantage of the slipstream.
Good move by Siebert. Then he had a real big look down the inside into that hairpin, but didn't pull it off. But nevertheless, a good effort.
So Les May waiting to come into shot now. Watch this little cart. Oh, and Siebert's hanging on pretty well, picking up third for you as they come round onto the straight at the moment. But Les May really opens up a little bit of a gap there, and Siebert really is starting to hang on pretty well. He's not letting him go at all.
Now, Ralph Ruprecht did a good start too. I mean, he's come from sort of the third row, and they're not actually dropping him off that quickly.
Wearing the Michele Alboreto colours on the helmet is Ralph Ruprecht.
Is it Ruprecht or Ruprecht? Because he was in Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, wasn't he, Ruprecht?
Les May leading Siebert now. Siebert closes up under brakes. He seems to be able to close up at this part of the circuit, but yeah, I think May's got more poke on the long straight.
Les May seems to be sliding the cart a little bit more. If you have a look coming through the tighter corners, particularly that right-hander he just came through, the cart seems to be sliding. Well, we get here, see, it definitely is moving around a lot more than Siebert's car, and that's where Siebert climbed right up on him. Then you see he made a lot of ground through that.
Well, you're right, it's certainly dancing all over the track, isn't it? I mean, you can see his body really having a lot of vibration. Here's the rest of the field coming through now behind them. So already 1 and 2 have got a pretty handy lead. Well, actually, the top 3 have got a pretty handy lead.
Quite good brakes on these things too. They've got the ventilated discs and twin calipers and, you know, all the tricky brakes, so they can really stop on a sixpence.
Really turning in late too. You can see the racing line. They just chop ahead, and you've really got to keep your wits about you on these. As Alan said, no roll bars, so if you hit one of these walls, it's going to say ouch. There's no doubt about that. I must come back to Barbara Hepworth because this has been a tremendous effort from this team, and really she started on 14th, cart number 27. I hope we do get a shot of her. Her husband David's been working virtually non-stop for 2 days. A crankcase has had to be replaced. They've had to build the motor from scratch. In fact, the cart was in 1,000 pieces just 2 days ago, and the Western Australia dealer of Volvo Australia, Mark Hansen, came along and has given her enough money to get her on the grid. That's tremendous stuff.
Hey, what about the Alboreto protege having a big look down the inside here? I tell you what, he's really hanging on, and it may be what I suggested before. He's on Bridgestones. They do take a lap or two to come in, but once they do come in, they're fairly consistent, as you can see. So this could be a really good dice for second guy. He's having a look every corner. He's having a bit of a look down the inside.
Refretch now, taking siege on Gerard Siebert. Les May out in front. And it's Dunlop, Virch, Michelin here, 1 and 2 on the Dunlops, and 3rd place on Michelin.
Here we go, down the inside, got a toe, got past him. Now it'll be interesting to see if Siebert can, yeah, look, see, he's weaving all over the place, trying to break that toe. In other words, gee, he's got a lot of, there must be something wrong with there now. I can't believe
he came past him too easy, AJ. That was a really nice bit of driving, but he did it so easily. Set it up and just blasted past, although look at this.
But now he's back on him again.
Yeah, Siebert comes back on him again, so perhaps just a mistake from Siebert that just cost him that little bit of time, and Reprets just went straight through.
I'm wondering if he hasn't got a gearbox problem or something, because coming onto the straight then, he pulled out and passed him like he was parked. Then when they reached their terminal speed, Siebert seemed to catch up on him a bit, so I think he's got some sort of gearbox problem.
Reprets now really starting to run away from Siebert, so second place is handy now. Can he catch Les May? That'll be the interest here. Les May starting to get into some traffic. That could make the difference.
I tell you what, Alboreto, whatever he said to him before the start's working.
Really sliding the little cart around, throws it through the chicane area here. Watch this. And you can see, you're right, Les May really getting bumped around in the cart, isn't he?
Yeah, he's definitely sliding around. Oops, having said that, of course, they are now starting to generate. See, that's a little bit of oversteer on the exit there.
They are very spectacular, aren't they? I mean, when you see one of these things close up at the speed they're doing, on a circuit like this, I mean, you've really got to be half fearless to think that if you hit that wall, it really is going to hurt you.
I think you're going to know about it, but the thing is with these two, that the steering is really sensitive. I mean, the slightest little twitch on the wheel, and it really does over-exaggerate the movement of the car. I mean, you've really got to drive it with fingertips.
Lap 4, Les May leading now from cart number 11, which is Ralph Repret. And he really is doing the best he can. They're lapping at the moment in the low 40s. So, gee, they're good times, aren't they?
Well, that's Group A times. That's just slightly slower than pole position for Group A.
Amazing stuff.
Mind you, they go through the corners a little bit better than some Group A's, I know.
Les May throwing it through the corners at the moment. And this is the Victorian cart. It's the Kelgate Eagle Rotex. And Les May, always spectacular, always fast. It doesn't matter where he starts from the grid, he'll always have a big go.
Rotex also do a very good engine for sprint karts as well, in the engines that are the open formula, which count towards the World Championship. That's the class that Richard McLeod, who drives for me, competes in, and they do a very good engine in that class as well.
Well, Ralph Repretch, if he's going to do something now, it's got to be the time, because last lap coming up, Les May has that buffer, pretty comfortable at the moment. He really hasn't made a mistake. He got away off the line very well, put distance between him and the rest of the field, and has kept the pace up consistently.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a mistake, but having said that, he is actually, Repretch is really, it seems to be closing a little bit, but I think Les is fairly safe.
Well, I come onto the straight, and Repretch has made up some distance there. There are some runners in front, so traffic will come into play, but I think Les May will get past him in the right areas. I don't think it's going to hold him up too much.
Well, here we go.
Siebert is out, unfortunately, who ran second for most of the time. He's had to withdraw from the race. Here we come into the traffic now.
Yeah, I'll bet you he had gearbox problems. Here, one on the outside, one on the inside. Lining him right up, trying to get a toe. Probably trying to have a go under brakes.
Well, he did close up as we predicted, and look, oh, just sneaks in there, holds the line. Not over yet, let me tell you.
He's got him.
Refrench comes round the outside. Beautiful move from Refrench with only a couple of corners to go. Slams a little cart down now.
Les is fighting back.
Les May trying to do the best he can to get back round him.
On the inside,
from the go light.
You watch this on the inside for this hairpin. It'll be a do-or-die effort from Les. No.
He's got him. Ralph Refrench gets him on the last corner. Hang on. Now Les May opens it up, tails him up, he'll try and pop out. He got traffic in front of him, and Refrench hangs
on. Can't get much closer than that.
Great win from Ralph Refrench. He just trailed him like a drover's dog right through the race, and when it counted, came past him, and the traffic did come into play.
I tell you what, he drove really well. I think I'll get Alberto to give me a talk before the Group A race.
So there we go. Look at that, a very happy chappie wearing the Michele Alboreto colours, and Alboreto went out of the grid and spoke to him prior to this race. And look at this.
Great sportsmanship there.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, what a great last lap. I mean, Les May had that for all money, didn't he?
Well, I honestly thought, barring a mistake, it was his, but it was interesting. You could just see those Bridgestones coming on and on and on and warming up, and he just wore them down. I mean, and he drove that passing on the outside was great. See, look, he went very wide there. He nearly blew it, actually. Look at this, one on one side, one on the other. Look at that. Don't get much closer than that, Daz.
Fantastic racing here from the little cab, the little carts here at the Adelaide Raceway here. Big action to come right throughout the day. Stay with us, Australia. We'll be back shortly.